I've said all along that this health care bill is about massive redistribution of wealth. It's not about health. It's not about care. Over 2,000 pages were needed to divvy up this pie that looks something like this in the end. It's bad. So who's getting it? You know, in the last few minutes, I did this, protected the poor pie that you can't touch. Nobody will even talk about the protected poor pie. This protected pie, unlike the slop that everybody else is going to be getting. I mean, it's a nightmare what's coming to you. This is not just the bottom 50% of America. This is also now anyone who gets a special favor. Anybody who's in with the right people, you're going to be protected. There's going to be a shield of protection around you because, well, you're the right kind of people. Mark Mix, president of the National Right to Work, is with us now. Yeah, you like that? How you doing, Mark?
Excuse me, Glenn. Let me put my eclair down.
Yeah.
We've got a few down here in Virginia. You know, we're a right-to-work state, so no worker can be compelled to pay dues as a condition of employment to a union. So we've got a few eclairs left down here, which is the good news.
Now, here's the question. The union bosses met yesterday at the White House, and they are part of the protected class. I mean, I can't believe how, if you have a Cadillac tax, you try to go out and do the right thing by your employees as a small business person, and you give them an amazing benefits package for health care, you're going to be taxed 40% on that health care now. 40%. But if you're in a union, no, you're protected. You got the cone over you, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. This bill is larded with all kinds of gifts for lots of people in various states across the country, but primarily it's larded with benefits for organized labor officials who've decided that their interests are better served by a nationalized government-run health care plan than actually protecting the workers they claim to represent. And it's ridiculous to think that they're posturing about this Cadillac tax on unionized health plans and trying to bluster about it, when in fact the most important and interesting comment yesterday after being done meeting with the president was from Richard Trump, and he said, we've come so far in this government-run health care thing that it'd be a shame to let it go right now, meaning we're going to throw our own members under the bus and tax them too. But ideally, they want to be exempt, and 6 unions already are.
So look, Mark, every time I talk about the unions, people hassle me and say, what do you have a problem with the unions? I don't have a problem with the union workers. I mean, I did represent General Motors. I was a spokesperson for General Motors for I don't even know how many years, until they got into bed with the federal government. And then I couldn't do it anymore. And I made it clear to the head of General Motors, look, this isn't about the people of General Motors. I believe in the workers of General Motors. But I don't think that the workers even know who these party bosses are of these unions. They do not reflect American values. Agree or disagree?
That's exactly right, Glenn. There is a deep wedge and division between rank-and-file workers and the union officials that claim to represent them in Washington. It goes back to 1935 and the New Deal, when unionized union leaders went to the government and said, we want special privileges. And ever since then, this wedge and this chasm between rank-and-file workers and union bosses has grown larger and larger. It's because they're relying on government for their power.
You have Andy Stern saying, workers of the world unite. You have, who is it, the manufacturing czar, Ron Bloom, basically holding up redistribution of wealth and saying the free market system doesn't work. These are not free market people. That's the chasm that I mean. People believe, generally speaking, Americans believe in the right to work, the right to have an idea and start a business and go. That's not what these union people are all about.
That's exactly right. They're about redistribution of wealth, and they're doing it with government power. For the first time in organized labor's history, they've passed the Rubicon. Over 50% of all union members in America are now part of government, and that bodes ill for America as we move forward. But the fact is, many union officials and union leaders now have been or have a history with being part of the socialist movement. John Sweeney, the last president of the AFL-CIO, a card-carrying member of the Democratic Socialists of America, part of the Socialist International. Andy Stern, trained in the Midwest Academy by Paula and Harriet Booth, who were socialist activists. I mean, it's just not good. And they've used this government power to expand their power over workers.
Hold on just a second. Tiffany wasn't Was it Harriet Booth? Wasn't it Booth that was at the Acorn party that we covered?
I think you're thinking of Heather Booth.
Heather Booth. What, is there any relation?
Heather, I'm sorry.
Okay,
yeah,
it is Heather.
I think
Booth.
it is Heather.
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
So she's with Acorn, or she was at the Acorn party defending that, and she also was with. What relation to Andy Stern? What was Andy Stern?
Well, he trained at the Midwest Academy that her and her husband ran, and that's where kind of he gets his pedigree.
Tell me Ron Bloom's connection. He's the manufacturing czar. Tell me his connections with the DSA and what DSA is.
Well, I think he's a member of that and have been affiliated with it in the past. And the Democratic Socialists of America, as I mentioned, is part of the Socialist International, which is an organization promoting socialism across the globe. And you have a whole host of that here in America in the union movement. In fact, John Sweeney, in 1995, when he took over the AFL-CIO, repealed the rules that prohibited communist leaders from running unions. And he started this training program called Union Summer with young workers that was predicated on the design that it would be class organizing methods and methodologies. That gets pretty close to the line when you talk about freedom and individual rights in America and them throwing it over the side for this collectivist.
When you say class organization, you mean exactly what's happening here in America. Hate the rich, take from the rich and give to the poor, right?
Well, it simply is a matter of driving wedges between groups of people, and one of the easiest ways to do that is class warfare. You know, you're always angry at the guy with $1 more, and you're protective of the guy with $1 less. It's part of human nature.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again. Now, America, if you really think that these progressives believe, hey, the evil rich guy, okay, all right, that would make sense if they were consistent. Right? Do you remember all the progressives that were punishing the oil companies for their windfall profits? Remember? You can't make that kind of money when Americans are in trouble. Wait until I give you the news next on the Fed. You'll have to ask, do these people believe in anything other than special favors? Next.